Check out the salt stuff, guys. Bud soap is on the main screen. Phase 8 update. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see what we got here. Season of Discovery.
Season of Discovery is a project that I feel like every game developer dreams of being able to work on one day. Being able to take their favorite game and add something to it and change it up in interesting ways.
We set out to do something bold and different when we announced Season of Discovery at BlizzCon in 2023.
Dude, every time I see this now, I remember Bean, man.
And the journey that we've been on with you has been amazing.
It was late in 2022 where we really started brainstorming as a team on what were we going to do after Season of Mastery.
Damn, this guy
so
got pretty
we
eyes.
came up with some crazy ideas. Was it going to be a survival version of vanilla World of Warcraft? Were we going to add new classes or new specializations? But ultimately, what we saw that people were really most passionate about, they wanted more content in vanilla World of Warcraft. They wanted to have the meta disrupted, so that leveling was more interesting and not predetermined by existing guides. So throughout 2023, we continued to work on building our rune system out, where people could find awesome new power-ups and apply them to their gear and play their class.
I gotta say, level 25, I think they went ham. The sword finding stuff and the Red Paladin, Divine Storm Quest, those are fun to me.
In a lot of different ways.
When we embarked on the journey of making Season of Discovery, a big focus with the runes was to make sure that people felt like they were playing a complete class in a vanilla WoW setting. So we've essentially taken a base that has 4 healing specializations and upped it to about 6. We've taken a base that has 1.5 really effective tanks to 6. And we've taken a base that has 12 DPS specializations and increased it to at least 20. And all of them perform very closely to each other, which is one of the major goals, is that you shouldn't feel that bad playing a class that isn't the best one in the game, and there should be at least some option available to you to perform.
We were getting the Black Fathom Deeps ready, and then we heard that we were going to be able to be a part of the announcement at BlizzCon and be up on stage next to Holly and Metzen, where after they announced the World Soul Saga, and we get to announce Season of Discovery, which was incredibly humbling and exciting at the same time. What we were announcing seemed a little crazy at the time. Mages that can heal, rogues that can tank, the level capped at 25.
No, when we heard it here, I thought that was crazy. I remember all of our friends saying, oh my god, this is so cool.
If I'm doing a 10-man raid in Black Fathom Deeps, what exactly is going on? And honestly, the more exciting thing was actually seeing people get into the demo station and all the demo stations being occupied nonstop. And it was a surreal experience seeing like, okay, we might have something interesting here. People are pretty excited.
And with Season of Discovery, we've been able to bring content that has long been hinted at or unfinished back from the original development of the game to light and to players for the first time, including the Karazhan Crypts dungeon.
I gotta mention, I don't know if he's ever gonna see this, but dude, Clay, you have upgraded so much in your, how do you say it, guys? When you have to come up on screen and talk, he's got so much better. Because I've done interviews with him like back then, and I remember a lot of people like pointing out, man, he's saying too many or he's cutting off way too many, but now he's like professional now. Stage presentation, yeah, he's so much better now, and I gotta like compliment that.
Game to light into players for the first time, including the Karazhan Crypts dungeon.
It's kind of this storied, legendary part of World of
Warcraft.
Warcraft.
I like that.
There was a lot of history with this place. It was an immense weight to try and tackle something of this magnitude.
Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah, it was very scary. Like, not just for the players actually experiencing the place and going through the darkness, but us actually designing something of this magnitude was very daunting. A lot of the times when we were doing stuff is we're looking at what contemporary things are doing.
No wonder Karazhan is good, guys. The Karazhan creators look like Giga Chads.
And which is how WoW was built originally, is looking at what is in the present. And we were like, well, we should try to go back to the past and see how they were doing things.
Karazhan was fun.
And kind of keep those themes rolling forward. And
Good thing is when someone says, wouldn't it be cool if, we just do it.
So my typical workflow is I focus on the items, creating them, statting them, naming them. I've just made items that I wish were in the game when I played it back in 2004. So when making items, I always want to make things that are fun, zany, but I also want to make things that are really viable. So I have a bunch of things like the whimsical world.
What is zany, chat? I only hear Peo talk about that. Peo goes like zany. He always sings the zany wing. He looks like 20. What, 2004? Crazy? Okay, zany is whack or crazy? Okay. Okay, maybe Peo is crazy.
That takes you to 33 different locations in Azeroth. I have the Gift of Gob that helps people transform into a
Dude,
goblin.
these toys are
You could use it
cool.
on pets. You could use it on your
I've
allies.
only
give people
heard
a little more
compliments with
freedom.
the
And then we
toy
have
stuff.
other items like Viscera, which is like a badass sword that can knock people
What
back.
the
We have
fuck? That's sick.
Caliburg that turns you into a big boulder and lets you roll into people. And we also have things like the Cluck Cannon, which I don't know what its purpose is, but it serves some kind of purpose.
I like it.
It was a whole lot of experimentation. It was a whole lot of let's just throw something at the wall and see what happens. And we just kept iterating and iterating. Eventually, we found a good working formula for it, and we got some pretty cool things.
Obviously, the darkness mechanic is the big thing in the Karazhan Crypts, kind of the big point of difference. That was born of this desire to keep up the discovery, the nature of Season of Discovery. And the Crypt is unique because people had explored the place already. People knew the layout, people knew what was in there. To make it surprising and make it feel like people were discovering stuff, we introduced this light and dark thing. We weren't sure how it was going to be received. I remember reading one comment about someone saying their hearts sunk when they realized they couldn't see their teammates outside of the light radius. So that's the emotional texture that we wanted.
We wanted to really hammer home the fact that it is darkness. Like, you are in a place that is completely void of light.
Originally, the characters would hold a torch in their hand,
tiny torch.
and it was this really small torch, this tiny little light. You couldn't see anything. It was super annoying. I know
Dude, I know this is annoying, but this looks sick.
we tried to invoke a lot of horror tropes. The eyes disappearing in the darkness, all these traps, all these horrible monsters. We tried to make this chandelier fall from the ceiling. I spent maybe 2 days on that and it did not work. We ended up adding a lot of very cute touches to the crypts. I'm not even sure players noticed. We have things like we have cockroaches that will scatter when the light touches them, for example. I haven't seen any posts about that yet.
Those are just for us, you know? When I go in on live and I see it, I'm like, that's right.
That's us.
That's for
us.
me.
Those are our cockroaches. We had the mimics, the
That's
chests
cool.
you open are sometimes mimics and they'll eat you. And I don't know if anyone's discovered this. I'm going to spoil it. If they kill you, they will actually spit you out as a hunk of meat.
Yeah, it's
instead
like
of your-
viscera comes
it's,
out.
What?
It's actually,
Comes
it's
out.
pretty gross.
Yeah.
Look out for that next time you die in the crypt.
The original plans for the opera event, we had some very funny ideas to start, like the goblins picking each other up to swing at players.
They would pick each other up and they would become this increasingly long goblin sword.
Goblin sword, yeah.
We will use that, yeah. Yeah, cut this. Someone will pick up someone and use them as a weapon. That's a guarantee. You can quote us on that. I think that philosophy of experimentation is really at the heart of Season of Discovery.
Go.
And whatever comes next for Classic.
It is definitely at the heart of Scarlet Enclave. We are experimenting a lot in that place.
So for Phase 8, a little bit of a peek behind the curtain.
Okay.
Scarlet Enclave raids, certainly the Ashburn questline that's related to it, the stories and the quests that are associated with it as well. It's actually originally intended to be a lot smaller of an experience, but when we saw the response to the Karazhan Crypts dungeon, the attunement questline associated with that, and some of the continuations of the narratives that we had set up earlier in Season of Discovery, it actually really encouraged us to go even bigger with the Scarlet Enclave raid. What started off as a small 5-boss dungeon suddenly grew to a full 8-boss raid, which we think really delivers on the promise of what players have been looking forward to for this content, really over the course of their entire Season of Discovery journey.
Probably the most difficult thing that I've had to do itemization-wise so far has been creating the Corrupted Ashbringer as a legendary. Legendaries deserve a lot of respect. Players are going to want them to be iconic, and making something like the Ashbringer, which is a weapon of legend, even in real life to some degree.
Is
You
it
want
only corrupted Ashbringer, or is there gonna be the other Ashbringer, the normal one?
that to be evocative of what it feels like to be the Ashbringer when you wield it. I had 3 big things I had in mind when making it, and the first one was I wanted to make sure that it kept the lifesteal proc of the original Corrupted Ashbringer. The second one is I wanted to make sure that that proc was more effective and still good, but also scaled up a little bit, a little more beef to it. And the third thing I wanted to do is I wanted to make the weapon feel like when it procs, it's evocative of the Ashbringer is now on the battlefield. The Ashbringer has emerged and is turning the tides of battle. The Ashbringer, in my mind, is a weapon that overcomes insurmountable odds. The more you're ganged up on, the more powerful the Ashbringer is. The more times it can proc, the more people it will proc on, and the more it will fuel you. And the more it will destroy your enemies too.
I like that DK.
One thing we get asked a
animation
lot
coming out
about the
top.
end of Season of Discovery is what will happen to my characters? Well, we don't really consider Season of Discovery to have an end, and we have no plans whatsoever to shut down the servers. We want to make sure that everyone has access to their characters and the achievements they've made for years to come. Our team has some really amazing things planned, and we really can't wait for you to see what else we're working on. Until then, thank you so much for playing Season of Discovery with us.
Yo, Bean, get back! They have more plans. It's not over. They should have let this play
Season
out.
of
Why
Discovery.
did they cut it out? Yo, YouTube team, you should have played this out. Din 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 din, and then show like 2 other videos to click on, man. You guys are throwing.